Hey everyone, Maury Dunbar here in a different corner in my studio to work on our little green table. Now, if you have been watching this process at all, you know I took this little table, stripped it down, it was a mess, and then I turned it sort of these electric lime green shades, which is over here. Now let me turn the camera over this way. If you look at it, this was the color we originally started with, but I wanted 2 shades of green on here. So I mixed a little bit of our Aura dark lime paint with some Set Coat white. And I made this lighter green shade, which is on the top, on the sides down here, and on our drawer front. I gotta take the drawer front back out. Oh, and I did the inside of the drawer. No, I haven't cleaned up my edges or anything else on that. So my next steps are to apply stencils. Now these are stencils I cut and adjusted for my patterns. And we're going to place one up here in the center. And then I have another one here with another similar leafy design that I am going to place on either side. I have not chosen what I'm going to do yet with the drawer or anything. I'm going to probably be using some polyonlays on here as well, so I can get some other things happening. Now I had my little, oh, this is me every day losing stuff. Oh, there it is. It was under my drawer. So first we're going to start with the top. So I can get my design centered. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to make an X to center it. Now this is a chalk pencil. So this is one of the things I use constantly when I need to center something. This line may not even show up on camera because it's going to be super light. But I'm making an X by going from corner to corner on each side, and where it crosses right here, that's my center. And I don't have to worry about it leaving marks behind, because being chalk, it will either come off when I put the stencil, pull the stencil off, or it will come off with liquid. So either way it'll come off and it won't be a permanent part of this. So the first thing I've got to do is give this a good rub with my brayer. If you've ever used one-time use stencils, you know that you have to rub both sides, and I've already rubbed the other side like 15 times, so that you can get a good grab and release from the backing film, which is not really film, it's silicone coated paper. And then you can also have a better release on the other side. So I'm slowly, carefully making sure I release the whole thing properly. This blue you see on here is a little bit of painter's tape showing through. Now I have a pretty good, I'm gonna have to move this so I can see it. I have a pretty good idea where my center is, but I'm gonna keep checking. And because it's round, I'm also free from having square edges to match up. I just wanted this to get in the center. So the next thing I'm going to do is rub this onto the surface. I'm going to take my brayer again, burnish this down. And the reason there's a little painter's tape on here is my backing boards that I use for this, when I cut it through my Cricut, they get a little tired. They get a little less sticky. And so I will occasionally tape them to the cutting surface when it goes through the Cricut, so that I have a little more stable cut. So here we go. Everything's coming up nicely. I'm sure I'm going to have something that doesn't quite want to come off easily. But this is a well painted and well primed surface. My little circle's right there, so I actually got this pretty darn well. Perfect? No. If I wanted it to be perfect, I wouldn't be doing it on camera, because perfect takes a lot more concentration for me. Let's again, you're carefully removing this because you want to make sure all pieces adhere to the surface where you're applying the stencil, not having it coming off the backing film or the carrier film or whatever you want to call this stuff. You want your stencil vinyl to stay stuck correctly to your surface. So yeah, I'm a little off center. I'm a little further away on the top than I am down here at the bottom, but all in all, a good lay down. So let me get this all burnished down. And for whatever reason, I have one little blip right there. Let's give it a push, and that is beautifully laid in the center. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a little tape. And we're really going to gild this whole top. And I will be painting over the gilding, so there's going to be more to it than just gold leaf. But I want a cleanly gilded surface. I already taped this off once to do the painting, came back, pulled my tape, made sure everything was cleaned up, and now we're going to put more tape down so I have another nice clean surface to work with. And there's the end of that roll of tape. Okay, that works for me. Again, to get a really nicely sealed edge with your tape, wrap your finger in a paper towel or a piece of cloth and just rub firmly along the edge. My paint is well enough dried. We're not at full cure, but it is definitely well enough dried that it can handle that. And I'm just going to come back in and make sure I got a little extra rubbing happening here because these little light lines want to come up, and that's not acceptable to me. Come in here and make sure everything stays stuck down. You're not going to have any funny stuff happening. All right, and what I'm going to do is apply the gold leaf size first while we're up here on the top, and then I'll apply the stencils on the sides and put the leaf size on there, and by then the top of this should be ready for me to leaf. It only takes 15-20 minutes for our gold leaf size to set up, and we are using Roberson's acrylic gold leaf size. Now this is fantastic. I could use an oil size. I don't want to because it makes it harder for the stencil to be removed, because I'm not pulling this stencil up right away, and it makes it a long time in between when I'm ready to when I'm sizing and then when I'm ready to gild. So you can't see it right here, but I'm pouring some out into a little container. And if you look at this, I haven't poured a lot. This is a very, very liquid size, very thin. Water-based sizes tend to be very thin. Now, I have tried just about every water-based size on the market, from everything from what I could get at Michael's to what I can buy in fine art stores. Roberson's, the reason we carry it, it is the best I have ever found in water-based sizes. It will give me as close to an oil gilded look as I can get out of a water-based size. Now I'm using a Golden Taklon brush. We carry brushes like this. And I'm applying it sparingly. It's very wet. I don't want it to seep under my tape, even though I've taped down well. I don't want it to seep under my stencil, even though I've brushed it down well. You don't need a lot. I don't want it to pool up. I don't want it to fight me. I just want to get it on and get to my next step. It's very easy to apply. If I had a really big surface, I could use a very low nap roller, not a sponge roller. Sponge rollers create bubbles, which create a weird surface. I would use like a pink velour flocked roller. Now this should have covered the whole thing. You can see there's little white bits left on that one spot. Just wants to keep pulling up, but that's okay. I got it down before I applied the size. So I'm just going back and forth in the pattern here to make sure I got every last little spot. Putting a tiny bit more on my brush just to make sure I'm well sized here so that I don't have any spots that don't stick. All right, so we are good to go, I think. And putting it on super thin. And that does mean the thinness will also help it set up faster. Now I'm gonna angle the camera down. And we are on my phone today, so this could be awkward. And I'm going to try to get in an angle where you can see what I'm doing, because that's gonna be the biggest challenge. So the table that I'm working on is in a different place than where I can set a camera. So let me see if I can figure something out so you're getting a better angle of what I'm doing. And let me put this brush in water so it doesn't harden up with the size on it. Okay. Floetrol was for something else. I'm moving it out of the way. Let me think. Maybe I can stick it over here in my little rolling cart. Give me just a second to clear some space out on my rolling cart so that you can see. I can put the camera in here and not have a disaster. Okay. Watch, this might make people queasy, so I apologize. You're getting a quick scan of small space. All right. So let's see if this does better. Okay, and by the way, hi, Dewey, thanks for popping in. I can't honestly see most of comments and stuff going on right now just because of the angle of the camera. I'm gonna drop my light a little bit too, just so it's better lit over here. And so be patient with me. Okay, we're gonna take this, and my goal was to make a pattern big enough that I could cut it in half. And we have two sides to work on either side. This is the back. So here is the front with this little area here. And the idea is that on either side here, Lord, that lighting is bad. I'd have some stencil. Again, sticking with this kind of green floral idea that I had going on, green, leafy, viney. I could cut this on a surface with an X-Acto blade, but the way I'm going to do this, it doesn't actually have to be perfect. So I just need to, it's all gridded out here. So I just need to take a good look at my pattern, fold it in half. This is right up to the edge here. I'm taking a little pinch here at the bottom. Then I'm doing the same at the top, making sure I've got my patterns lined up, which is pretty easy to do considering it's a nice square thing. Okay, I've got my lines lined up. I'm going to cut my design in half. All right, there we go. So I have half the pattern. It should fit just about right to the bottom, which is exactly what I wanted. Again, where did I throw my burnisher? Over here. You're gonna get the back of my head in a couple spots. So I'm taking my design, and I don't know if you can see, you probably can't, but I'm taking it down here on my little turntable, giving it a burnish so that the whole thing sticks to the, first it sticks to the mounting tape, and then hopefully it will stick to the painted surface. So I have to peel that back. I'll flip that down so you can see a little bit what I'm doing. Down here. All right. That came off nicely, yay. Again, there's little pieces of blue painter's tape on there. That's not my concern. Let's see. All right, so I'm taking this and I'm tucking this in here, and I'm tucking it along this edge. And then, where's my knife? One of my little dogs is wandering around the studio today. He's upset because I got up and then he moved out of his blanket. Now he's waiting for me to throw the blanket back on. Okay, so we're gonna take that and cut that like that. And that should peel right out of there, as long as I cut through it. I'm cutting gently so that I don't score my surface by accident. So I'm gonna take that. And if you like any of the patterns that you see me using, drop me a message, I'll cut it for you. We do offer that service. The largest we can cut is 1 foot by 2 foot on anything. That's what my machine will allow. All right. Give me just a second because I'm going to throw my blanket on my duck. All right, baby, here you go. There you go, happy baby. Settle down. There you go. He's a Chihuahua mix, and he's not happy if he's not under a blanket. All right, now here's this side. And being left-handed means I have to be careful not to slice myself. There we go. That's really good. There we are. So that's all mounted in there. And this takes practice, so, you know, be aware, don't freak out if it's hard for you the first time to do something. I've done this a lot. All right, then we're gonna start peeling this back. Okay. And if you find you're struggling with something, or you're not having an easy time releasing it, take a scissor or take an X-Acto knife and cut off the extra film like that. I often do that because, especially on camera, getting myself in and out of my own way can be a challenge. All right, let's get in there. See if it works better if I do it from this direction, because sometimes for me it's all about the direction I'm going. Okay, let's get in there. Come on, get down. This is why you use a picker or tweezer or some extra implement to help you get things to lay down, because sometimes you just need, and my fingers can be too big if I don't have enough released area. My fingers can get just too darn big to make certain things happen. Now, if I have a little tiny, teeny tiny piece that will not expose any different, will not shift the pattern at all, I might leave it, you know, stuck, because there's like a little tiny dot right there that should go up in here. Right now, I'm not concerned about it. I can come back and pull that off later and reapply it. Come on. Okay, and I'm getting a temperamental spot right here, so let me cut this off. There's that. And we just have a little left, so I'm turning it a little bit to be an easier angle for me. Does not want to stay adhered. Well, then I'll get it in a minute. Come on, stay down. There we go. So now we have our pattern all on there. If I want to take the little tiny spot that's on that corner, the other one is a spot I didn't weed properly, so that I don't have to think about. Like this goes, if I can get it in, because fat fingers. Okay. Let's see if I can get that in there. Okay, that's right there. Again, I'm going over everything with my fingers to burnish it all down so that I don't have bleed from my adhesives underneath it. Okay. There we are. Going to do the other side, then we'll put the gold leaf size on there. And I save these kinds of pieces of paper. We use them as packing materials. It actually really, you know, we recycle as much as we possibly can with things. I don't know what that's from. Things just show up sometimes. We recycle as much as we can, use it for packing materials and recycle boxes, just because this helps keep the cost of shipping down. Shipping is as expensive as I've ever seen it these days, and so anything we can do to keep our shipping costs minimized is something we aim for. I'm gonna, again, burnish down my stencil here. I'm going to remove the backing. There we go. There we are. All of that's off there. Now, the one thing I do want to do is trim right along the, no, I don't need to do that. What am I talking about? I'm thinking something else. All right, so let's get this up into here. Let's center it as much as I can. And there we go. Okay, I got that centered. Again, we're going back in with the knife and the ruler and cutting off the extra stencil part because that's a pain. There we go. Now I can tape this off. I really don't need to because it's a slight recess there, so I should be able to control my brush. If I can't control my brush on that recess, I should smack myself. Let's see if that cut all the way through. Yep, it did. There we go. this another little burnish on our surface here so I can start removing it. Okay. Sorry, this position hunched over like that kills my back after a while. And the while gets shorter and shorter as I get older and older. All right, let's put that back. Let's start getting this laid down. Let's see how Fat Fingers works today. Decide what it does not want to grab quite as easily as the other side did, but that happens. As you can see, I'm pulling it completely parallel and not perpendicular, which is like this, because that puts tension on the stencil vinyl and it does not release. You're more likely to tear it than you are to have a good release with it. Alright, that one actually, once I got it going, it came off really well. So yay. Okay, going back in, smoothing things down with my fingers to make sure we're all adhered and I can avoid bleed under. Okay, we got a little bubble right here. And I know it's because I didn't get everything laid down perfectly on the backing material. So if I had to, I could cut it to get it to lay down, but I think really what I need to do occasionally is just lift stuff up and then relay it, get it to lay flatter. And of course, if I find at the end of doing this I have some funky texture or something, I can always just touch it up. All right, let me go get another brush for my adhesive. Go. Since the other one is in water, to keep it from being ruined, I don't want to get my size all watered down. And again, I'm dipping lightly, just lightly into my gold leaf size, carefully brushing. It does not take a lot of this material. You don't want it, and especially on a vertical surface like this, if I get too much, it's just going to run down it in drips. So I don't want that. I think I have a little bit that got under right there because it looks like it's lifted, but that's okay. It won't show in the end. That I can promise, because I'm not taking the stencil off until I've done all the gilding. Why? Because then the stencil will actually help cut the leaf clean. I'm not using real gold, I'm using composition leaf on this, which is a little heavier and therefore needs a little more attention to get it to stay in its pattern if I'm using it over a stencil, and that's okay. Again, I've done this a lot of times. You might remember my big pagoda stencil on the door of the last cabinet you saw me do, with the shades of oranges. And by the way, I bought this paint at the same time I bought that orange for that cabinet. The color just caught my eye and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'll figure out something. So this is the table that I'm doing with that. Let's get any of that extra leaf size out from under any of the little spots that might have penetrated under. Again, yep, we're ready to size on top. This sets up very, very quickly. If you're concerned about missing spots, you can put a little tiny bit of colorant in here. Mind you, it will stay colored. So if you were going to put a little colorant in here, I put just a tiny dab of green so that you could see where you had applied it and where it still needed some. I've been doing this a while, so I don't sweat it if I've accidentally skipped a spot, but I usually don't. Oh, that's not into the water bucket. Just a second, there we go. And also, later on, I'll show you the epoxy cups because they're really cute. All right, so now we're gonna move, watch the seasick motion. We're gonna move my camera back over here so I can work on the top of the table. Okay, so seasick motion warning. Here. Here. All right, let's lift this up. Get this up high enough so you can see the top and that it will not fall down. And let's lift the light up again so you can see the top better. All right, there we go. That should be light enough. Okay, here is my gold leaf. Alrighty. Oh, that's silver leaf. That's not going to help me. There's the gold. I have stuff everywhere, so finding it all can be a challenge. So I'm using composition gold leaf. It comes in larger squares. They're about 5.5 or 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. They're a little easier because they're thicker. They're a little easier to handle for most people. And you're not paying the cost of solid gold, which is substantial. And we know I've done a lot of furniture with real gold. I have no issues with that. But we're going to use this, and we'll seal the whole thing with our Whitson's Universal Lacquer for leaf. See, I've got a little break there, so let's get that right there. And I'm not worrying if my lines are perfect because, again, we're going to not just gild this, the stencil will come off. We will have painted over this. There's going to be a lot more happening on these surfaces. So my goal right now is simply to cover this area with the leaf. And of course my apron is at just the right height that I'm actually brushing the stack of leaf at on my table. Okay, come on. And I could overlap that just a little further up. I'm actually getting little bits of leaf caught on my apron, which is going to make me nuts. So I just keep trying to move it away from myself, and then I move to do the table, and it's still right back on me, under my apron. Go on, there you go, right there. And I'm going to take a little piece. I'm going to kind of touch anywhere on here that needs some gold leaf. we've got that on there. Let me sit for a second and just pat that down. This side is not quite ready, but it will be by the time I get to it. So I'm going to swing this around. I'm not moving the cameras again so that you can see the sides a little easier. There's that side, there's that side. Let me just lower it a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And let me get my leaf over here. And we're going to leaf up in here. So how I know that this is sticky enough to go is if I put my knuckle to it, it's got a light tack, lighter than Scotch tape. It's ready to go. You don't want it super sticky because that means it's going to be gummy and you won't get a good shine from the product on here. You want it to be tacky enough, just tacky enough to grab, and that is a much lighter tack than you think. Tack being level of stickiness. Okay, and I use these sheets of paper that come with it to help me apply all the time. It just keeps my fingers out of stuff. Keeps me from leaving fingerprints on my surface, which can happen easily. Okay. And let's get in here. And I will take that little piece there. Oops. I left some right there. And let's get it all tacked down. Again. If you have oily hands, I recommend wearing little cotton gloves doing this because your oils can cause oxidation to happen faster. My hands are dry. They're always dry. It's how I was born. I swear I was born the most dry-skinned person on the face of God's green earth. So I don't tend to have that as a problem, but a lot of other people do. Okay, we are tacky enough for me to do that. We get the right tack at least. Okay, let's get in there. Let's get there. And then, once again, a little extra sheet. I'm going to get any place that didn't get any gold leaf on it. I have always been what I call an imperfect gilder, meaning I don't get everything to life straight and perfect the first time I drop it. That's okay with me. Other people get very frustrated with it. Me, I'm like, I'll just put it together. I'll make it work. I'm okay with figuring out other ways to do stuff. Because then I don't get so obsessed that I'm frustrated and I don't get the result because I'm afraid to try. I have learned that it's better I make a mess and try than to not try at all. Okay, so I'm patting this all down. It's all stuck. And the next thing I'm going to do is go back to the top and we're going to burnish this down a little bit. Now you can use, I have all kinds of tools, but I'm using right now just a piece of, what's it called? Flour cloth. Flour, sackcloth, like from flour sacking that they use to make things like dish rags out of, which is what this actually had been for a long time. And I'm coming in and I'm brushing this down, making sure it's all stuck. Now, if this was actual real gold, I would have been using a skewings brush first to break it, but I don't have to be that delicate with this. I can be a little more aggressive. So I'm going to give it a burnish so it lays down nice and smooth. So that looks really nice. The next thing I'm going to do is slowly start removing. Now you can see I'm leaning on here, but I'm leaning on my sweater because my sweater's really nice and soft and it won't scuff anything. And I'm going to start carefully picking my pattern up. I don't want to cut the paint, and I don't want to ruin the leaf, so you go slowly. Now the adhesive, it won't do any damage to the paint, but the picking can. So again, like I said, I'm going slowly. I want the gold to tear nice and neatly, not crazy. I'm going to cut that right there so I can follow my stencil in one direction first. Let's get in there with my finger. Let's give that a little pull. See how nicely the pattern releases? And then, yeah, there's a couple slight edges there. You go back and burnish them down and they're all good to go. I do not save my skewings from this. It's not real gold. It's very inexpensive composition gold, which means it's made out of brass and other things. The skewings will tarnish before I do anything with them. So I'm not doing that. Again, lifting this slowly, carefully. Look at how beautiful the pattern is when it starts releasing. Okay, let's carefully lift right here. There we go. And where's the... I'm looking for my pattern here so I can grab things. There's an odd glare that you might not see on the camera, but for me, the lighting glares off of things and sometimes it's hard to tell what I'm looking at. Come on. Lift up. There we go. And this gold is so beautifully shiny with this size. Some water-based sizes can make the gold not shiny, make it a little hazy looking. Not this size. Not our Robersons. It keeps it beautifully shiny. Look how that beautiful pattern is releasing. I am loving how this looks. I won't make you stay here and have me do all the pattern release on the sides and stuff, but we'll do the top so you can see what that's going to look like with all the stencil removed, and then I'll continue working after I turn the camera off. Oh, come on. Oh, for phooey's sake. Come on, lift up. There we go. Be impressed with me for not swearing, because I know I am. Okay. We are getting there. We're getting there. There we go. Not much left to remove now. Some small spots and then the big circle and the tape. Now the reason I'm not spinning the table is to make it a little easier for you all to see. Normally I'd be spinning this like a top to get at the different angles. I will spin it a little bit just because I've got some small pieces over here to deal with. And it would be better if I had a little better angle on them. Now, from what I can see, I've gotten all the little bits and pieces off. I'm going to pull this tape. Sure, I'm going to pull it. I leaned on it, so now it doesn't want to pull. So now just on its own, it's so pretty. Okay, tape doesn't want to let go of me. Quite frankly, neither does the stencil adhesive or the stencil vinyl. All right, again, I'm going to come back with my cloth and give it another little buffing down so that I'll break any little odd bits off of there. I mean, seriously, look how beautiful that looks just on its own. But we're going to be doing more. All right, everyone. Thank you for giving me some of your time today. I'm going to go back. I'm going to finish this up. I'm a little warm from being under the lights here. So it is Thursday. Is it Thursday? I think it's Thursday. Thursday. And we will be sealing this up tonight. Or, no, actually we won't seal it up. I think I'll save the sealing for another time. But I will show, give me just a second, grab those cups. I did want to share with you how great our cups came out. Look at these. I'll hold them by the handle, you'll see them better. Look at those. Now this is the London Fog and the Silver Shatter with a little bit of glitter to bind those seams up. This is the Purple Leopard and the Raven Snake in purple on the bottom. Again, glitter right at the seams to smooth those seams out. This is Kenji and Alyssa Leopard. I think that's the right name for it, and then the soft gold. So all of them came out beautifully. All three have 2 layers of epoxy on them, and they are now good to go. They all have about 24 hours more full cure time. Now, I'll give you a little information. Art resin feels softer to the 24-hour cure than some resins do, but at 72 hours, it's come to its full food safe cure. Again, before you ever use one of these, after you've done this, make sure to wash it so it's nice and clean. There's nothing left, any residual, anything stuck anywhere. I did solve the issue with my cup turner, obviously. My cup turners have sponge things on them to hold the cups. I had extra sponge things, and I really had to just shove 2 of them into each cup because they were so big, otherwise they weren't stable and they were going to fall off the cup turner. So while my cup turners work well for what I was doing, yeah, if you're going to do bigger cups, I'd suggest a better cup turner than I got. So mine came from Amazon. I know they make them for bigger cups if you're going to be doing bigger cups like these. But I did come up with a solution. So if you have the same kind of cup turner I have, and you're wanting to do these big Stanley style mugs, these monster cups, send me a message. I will share with you exactly how I did it. I'm not gatekeeping it. It's just not pulling out the turners to show you how I wedged 2 sponges in here. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon, and we will be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.